We were surrounded by the Taliban. Our vehicles were blocked in. The airport was total chaos, with people falling off planes. And the commander we were negotiating with was responsible for killing a team member's best friend. On top of that, 3 of his henchmen had come into our compound wearing suicide vests. I never thought I'd write a book. I never, my wife laughs every time. For me, it's just work, and it's always been done, not necessarily in the shadows, but I've never felt the need to tell it. Whereas Afghanistan was almost the ending of everything that I've done. So I think someone described it as the perfect storm of the last 20 years, where at the end of it, you've got the extraction. Anything up to 2 weeks prior, we'd started burning things that you're not going to carry back with you. Guys were packing essential kit. It was almost like a system of triage between, I'm going to have to travel light, so essentially what's really important to me is going in this bag, which is a grab bag, and then non-essential kit was just literally ditched at the embassy. It escalated in dramatic fashion, and Kabul is now completely encircled. So we are dealing with illegal roadblocks, an enemy that we're not entirely sure which side of the city they want to take first. I was planning back streets, main streets, arterial routes, documentation. We had 12 diplomats initially. We had 72 Gurkhas, and then we had 4 ops room staff. So a total of probably about 72 people from the Embassy of Japan. We opted for the night move. I wanted to do that anyway. It's a lot harder for them to see me at night. We've got the halogen headlights on the B6 armoured car, so we jump back in and we head straight down to Taipang Gate. So we radio ahead. We're like, look, we're coming in hot. I've got 12 dips. Embassy of Japan. We've got air assets above us. Please be ready to receive. It was quite cool because they were in cut-off board shorts and t-shirts because they're behind the gate, you see. So they're like, yeah, man, yeah, no worries. And I was like, I need to lean on these Americans so bad right now, and they not reciprocating what I'm trying to say. I'm like, come on, we need these gates open. And eventually, yeah, they do open, and we're into the airfield and hooking up with the RAF. I think the RAF were expecting us to down tools and jump on the plane as well, and we had this moment speaking to this really nice RAF gentleman who looks at me gone out when I say, okay, look after him, we're going back. He sort of looks at me and he says, well, you going back out? And I'm like, I've got my ops room staff, I've got 72 Gurkhas, and I've got a compound filling up with everything from civilian doctors to teachers to university lecturers who are all, from different parts of the world, and they're all piling in there, and they're all, we're their only security essentially. I believe this was a recce. I don't think they wanted anything in particular. For me, they were making an assessment, like who's here, what they've got. So I sort of took that as a show of force. So I decided, okay, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. So I was like talking to the guys on the radio on the roof saying, I've got guys on the roof, I've got here. And then as a helicopter passed over, I punched into my radio and looked up and spoke. Now, I don't know who was in that helicopter at that time, could have been anyone. But the 2 guys on the ground were like, oh, easy. I thought, okay, I'm just going to blag it now. I'm going to make out like I've got all the assets in the world ready to go. And I was speaking to all sorts of guys on the team, just making out. I was a lot bigger than I was. I'm only 12 guys. I've got nothing, absolutely nothing, no assets whatsoever. But at that point, I thought, well, they don't know that. I've been very internal. So my thought process and my planning, my logistics was all based around everyone at the Embassy of Japan. I didn't really think about what was going on in Afghanistan at that time. But then when I was stripped of everything, I was put on that bus, and I'm driving through the streets of Kabul, completely unarmed, which I've never done before, with my enemy of 20 years in front of me on a machine gun, and you're vulnerable, and then you realise, you know, these people are looking at you thinking, oh, they can get me out, but then you're leaving them behind. And yeah, that's probably a low point. That took a while to absorb, a couple of months. And you think, I've left people behind. What kind of a person am I? That was literally, that scenario with that lady was the last thing I saw in Afghanistan. I wasn't sleeping on that plane, but as it took off, I thought, you know, that's the most I've ever been pushed. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you know, it's all just a massive potent mix of everything. And it wasn't relief that I felt, because obviously, you know, you're leaving a lot of things behind, which it's not within my nature to do things like that. So it wasn't really relief that I felt. I just felt quite empty, if I'm honest.
If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.